and say, press into my hand. Okay. If this older person has ruptured their scapula, ruptured their subscapularis, if they have ruptured their subscapularis on the belly press, their elbow will drop to their side and they will pull back. So if they have ruptured their subscap, they won't be able to internally rotate. All right, look up here. If they have ruptured it, they won't be able to internally rotate. So what will they do? They will drop their elbow to their side and pull like this because they can't internally rotate. So I go like this and I say, pull against me, be ruptured. And they do that because they can't internally rotate, so they just pull it back.
So are they using their bicep to pull it back?
They're using their lats. Anything. They're using their lats mostly. Your lat is an internal rotator, right? And so they're pulling back with their lat. Okay. Lay on your back. Headed this in. Real easy. Pec major contracture. Pec major contracture. Put your hands behind your head. If they have a pec major contracture, their elbows won't go down. Do you have this, Zach?
What's up?
Do you have this?
I can't even get in that position. No way.
If they have a pec major contracture, their elbows will be up, their elbows won't go down. That's pec major contracture.
It hurts right now.
Can you put your arms? Oh, because of your elbow.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, never mind. That's because of his nerve, not because of his pec major. Pec minor contracture. What is your pec minor hooked to?
Coracoid process.
Coracoid. Hands at the side. Just get on their arms, on their shoulders, and push back. And their arms up around like this, and it won't drop.
So you won't be able to push it down?
They won't be able to push it down. Pec minor contracture. You can't push them down. They're up around like this. Let me stand up. Wall push-up. Very simply what it says. Let's see, are you in the camera? Yep. You have them go like this and do a wall push-up. And what are you watching for? What's this for?
Medial border.
Winging. I'm watching for the medial border. Can you make yours wing?
Can I make them wing?
Yeah, go ahead. Do a push-up. Yeah, that'd be kind of like winging out like that. What do you think you do for an athlete?
Actual push-ups.
Regular push-up. So, for somebody else, you do wall push-ups. For an athlete, get them on the ground, do a regular push-up, see if they wing. All right. Come back here, face camera. And TOS.
What about upper limb?
Oh, so all you're going to tell me about upper limb tension tests, and we could do these on Zach right now, but all we would do is piss off his nerve. But upper limb tension tests are for your nerves. So we have upper limb tension tests for the median, radial, and ulnar nerve. And you're going to learn those in the cervical. They are not part of this checkout. So all you're going to tell me is if they had symptoms in their peripheral nerves, I would perform upper limb tension tests to rule out the peripheral nerves.
Which ones did you say? Median what?
Median, ulnar, and radial, which you're going to learn real soon anyway. So all you're going to tell me is if they had problems in the peripheral nerves, they had something tingling, numbness, something that made me think they had a problem in the peripheral nerves, I would do the upper limb tension tests. So at the beginning we talked about we'd clear the cervical region. We'd see if we thought it was coming from a nerve root, So if it followed myotome and dermatome patterns, we'd clear the cervical. If it followed peripheral nerve patterns, then we would do upper limb tension tests. Does that make sense? We'll learn all that more when we get to cervical. So, but just okay. TOS. I ought to have you guys do this on each other, but I'll let you write. So, here's the first one. Ruse. What you do with ruse is goalpost, arms back, so elbows back, kind of behind the body. And then you have them open and close their fingers for 5 minutes. Go ahead. Tell us how long you last. I don't know how anybody does this for 5 minutes. And what you're looking for is ache or nerve sensations. This is for something that shows something like thoracic outlet. You're looking for thoracic outlet symptoms. So ache from blood flow or numbness. How are you doing?
So far, so good.
Okay. So there's ruse, and here's how the You're Gonna Get It's and the Near the Year and Hawkins Kennedy, they would go, raise the roof, raise the roof, raise the roof, raise the roof. Okay, so that was how they did this one. Ruse, they did raise the roof, raise the roof. Okay, raise the roof, raise the roof. Okay, got it? All right, that's ruse. And then we have costoclavicular, also called military brace. So, where do you think the problem is when you have costoclavicular? In between the rib and the clavicle. In between the first rib and the clavicle. So, scoot out just a little bit. What you're going to do on this one is I'm going to take the radial pulse. So, all three of these next ones, you take the radial pulse. All three of these next ones, you take the radial pulse.
Do you want me to take my watch off?
Sure. So, I'm going to take the radial pulse. And then, I grab her at her epicondyles, here at her elbow, I grab the epicondyles. And then I'm going to basically pull this down and back, so I'm pulling the clavicle down against the rib. And the reason they call it military brace is how do military people stand? Right? They go, burp. And so they pull this down and back. That's why they call it military brace. So I'm going to take her pulse. I'm going to find her pulse. Okay? And then I'm going to bring her down and back. So I'm pulling the clavicle down to the rib, and I see if the pulse changes. So it's called costoclavicular because you're pulling the clavicle down against it. You're causing closing of that. Where'd you have to go? Where's you okay? All right. So that is costoclavicular. Addson is the same thing, but you're going to add to it. And so how I remember this one is I put it next, and you go adds some. So you're going to add some to it. Addson. All right. So I'm going to take her radial pulse. I'm going to pull her back and down. And then I'm going to tell her to look towards me and take a breath and hold it. All right, and she did not change. Oh, now it's going. Now she changed. Now she's starting to change. I can get this on a lot of people. You can get this on a lot of people. So on Addson, you just add the military brace.
So they look towards you and then what?
Look towards you and then take a breath and hold it. And then Allen, the trick for this one is Allen has the L in it. Allen has an L in it. So on Allen, do you need another pen?
I have
Just
pens.
broken the last test.
I have pens in my bag. There's like a whole pile.
Allen, take the radial pulse. Now, guys, you're going to want to hold them like this. So instead of doing it like this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take her arm up here in an L. So instead of doing it like this, I'm gonna reach around and get a radial pulse this way instead. Relax. There. Okay, so I find the radial pulse. Okay, now I take her up here and a L, and then I'd have her look away. So, by the way, having her look towards or away, what am I messing with?
The brachial.
Plexus. Or no?
The stretch of the artery.
Stretch what?
Artery. Nerve.
Stretch the thoracic.
Outlet.
Whatever the hell. What's that nerve?
Not a nerve.
That's not.
Adding in the turn of the head things is for the scalenes.
Oh.
The muscles, right? The scalenes get involved. So the costoclavicular is closing down that, and then adding these things is adding in the scalene stuff. There they are.
When they turn their head.
The opposite way.
Are you telling them again to take a breath?
You could add that, and he talks about that in the book. And by the way, in the book on this one, they describe rights. When you look for this, it's under right test, but I don't have you guys do right. But at the end of right, he said if you, this test, another way to do this test, so it's under right test, which is WRIGHT. And then the second half of it, he says it can be modified by doing this, and then it's called the Allen maneuver. And then, there's all kinds of things that you can do. Like they tell you, you can also extend the head. So you can add extending the head, holding the breath, and you can kind of do those. In fact, I didn't tell you to extend your head on Adson's, did I?
Adson's?
Yeah.
You just told me to look away.
No, look towards on Adson's.
Oh,
Extend the head.
Adson's?
Adson's, you're supposed to extend the head also. I don't think I said it.
Oh, no, yeah, you said it.
Well, you told me to
We
turn.
said
Look
I told her to look
Towards.
towards, but also extend the head. I don't think I said.
toward
you-
and extend.
Yep. So extend the neck and then look toward,
Oh.
and that puts those scalenes on stretch. So on Adson's, and by the way, the trick for remembering which way you look is Adson's. Everything is added, so you're looking towards, added in towards, and so I just tell people you're adding on the military brace and everything's added. You add, and then on Allen you look away, but you could also extend. You could do all those things. Your foot would